In the world of cars, some stories never make the front page. They're not about bestsellers or championship winners. They're about ambition, rebellion, and machines that came close to greatness before fading away. This is one of those stories, and it all starts with a group of engineers walking out of Ferrari. In 1961, a major fallout happened inside Ferrari. A group of key people, including Carlo Citti and Giotto Bizzarini, left after a disagreement with Enzo Ferrari. With support from Count Giovanni Volpi and other backers, they formed a new company called Automobili Turismo e Sport, or ATS, in 1962. Their goal was bold: build a Formula One car and a road car to take on Ferrari head-to-head. That's like quitting your job at Apple and starting your own tech company the next day, only louder and with more gasoline. The car they came up with was the ATS 2500 GT. Designed by Franco Scaglione and built by Carrozzeria Alemano in Turin, the 2500 GT was one of the first Italian mid-engine production sports cars. It had sleek curves, a steel body for the road-going version, and an aluminum body for the race-focused 2500 GTS. Under the skin was a space-frame chassis designed by Giotto Bizzarini, with double wishbone suspension all around. It was serious stuff, not just another pretty face. Powering the ATS 2500 GT was a 2.5-litre DOHC V8 engine made entirely from aluminum. It made between 220 and 245 horsepower, depending on the version, and revved to around 9,000 revolutions per minute. Torque came in at around 188 pound-feet of torque, at 6,000 revolutions per minute. It used twin-choke Weber carburetors and had an optional mechanical fuel injection setup. The GTS version was lighter and faster, hitting speeds near 160 miles per hour, while the steel-bodied GT topped out closer to 150 miles per hour. Weight was around 1,665 lbs, light enough to make those horses count. The transmission was a 5-speed manual unit, packed into a Colotti gearbox housing. If you're wondering who Colotti was, just know they made gearboxes for some of the best race cars of the time. So, yeah, it had pedigree. But here's the twist. While the ATS 2500 GT had brains, beauty, and brawn, it didn't have luck. Or money. The Formula One team failed badly. Investors got cold feet. 2 GTS cars headed for the Nürburgring were wrecked on the way. By 1964, the company collapsed. Only about 12 chassis were built, and just 8 finished as complete road cars. The rest were lost to time, racing accidents, or museum life. Still, the ATS 2500 GT matters. It was a true mid-engine Italian sports car years before Ferrari made one. It had an engine designed by people who shaped Alfa Romeo's Tipo 33, and while it may not have changed the world, it left a mark on it. Sometimes, being rare is its own kind of victory. In the middle of the 1980s, Citroën decided it wanted to join the most extreme race series in the world, Group B Rally. Other companies were building wild machines, so Citroën looked at its BX family car and said, "Let's make this into a rally monster." The result was the Citroen BX4TC, a car that showed up late, made almost no impact, and then vanished. But the story behind it is full of strange decisions, lost money, and broken dreams. Citroën started development after watching companies like Audi and Lancia win big. The goal was to get into the 1986 World Rally Championship season with a car that followed Group B rules. Those rules allowed crazy horsepower and wild designs, but also required a company to build at least 200 road-legal versions of the car. Citroën chose the BX as a base, and Holiers, a coach builder in France, helped produce the body. The road cars were built with a 214cc 4-cylinder engine, borrowed from the Peugeot 505 Turbo and based on the N9TE block. It had a Garrett turbocharger, Bosch fuel injection, and made around 200 horsepower and 216 pound-feet of torque. The engine sat in a strange position, longitudinally up front, ahead of the front axle. That made weight balance a real issue. Power went to all four wheels through a 5-speed manual gearbox taken from the old Citroën SM and DS. The suspension kept Citroën's famous hydropneumatic setup, which was better for comfort than rally abuse. The brakes were ventilated discs on all four wheels. The tires were 210/55 VR 390 Michelin TRX mounted on metric wheels. It weighed around 3,064 pounds and had a top speed of about 137 miles per hour. Citroën said it could do 0 to 62 miles per hour in 7.5 seconds, though some tests showed it was closer to 9 seconds. For racing, Citroën developed the BX4TC Evolution. This version had wide bodywork, big spoilers, and close to 380 horsepower. Drivers like Jean-Claude Androuet and Jean-Pierre Beltoise were involved. In the 1986 Swedish Rally, Androuet finished 6th, but the car failed to finish in Monte Carlo and Acropolis. By the end of that year, Group B was banned after a series of deadly accidents, and the BX4TC project was cancelled. Only 86 road versions were sold. Citroën had so much trouble selling them that they reportedly bought some back and scrapped them. Others were given away or returned to the factory. Some sources say fewer than 150 survive today. In later years, a few were used in rallycross, like the car driven by Jackie Pivert in 1989. Another version, based on a prototype, was raced by Jean-Luc Paillet, who won several French championships. Even though the BX4TC failed in competition and flopped in sales, it became a rare item for collectors. One Rally Evolution version sold at auction for over $400,000. It was not a successful car, but it is one of the most unusual and forgotten pieces of Group B history. In the late 1960s, a sleek Italian coupe appeared on the roads of West Germany. It looked like it came straight from a designer's dream, but under the skin, it had the heart of a Ford. Most people have never heard of it, and that is no surprise. It was built by a small company that did not survive the decade. But the story of the 1967 OSI 20 MTS is not just about a rare car. It is about timing, design, and a company that tried something bold and almost disappeared without a trace. Officine Stampaggi Industriali, or OSI, was founded in Turin in 1960 by Luigi Segre, the former head of Ghia, and engineer Arrigo Olivetti. The company specialized in coach building, taking cars from large manufacturers and reshaping them into something new. OSI worked with Innocenti on the 950 Spider, but one of their most unusual projects came when Ford of Germany needed a stylish coupe before the Capri was ready. The result was the OSI 20 MTS, based on the Ford Taunus 20M sedan. The body was designed by Sergio Sartorelli, the same man behind the Volkswagen Karmann Ghia Type 34 and Fiat 2300 S Coupe. He gave the two-door OSI a low fastback shape with smooth lines and 4 seats inside. It made its debut at the 1966 Geneva Motor Show. Production started in January 1967 and ran until July 1968. There was also a one-off convertible shown at the 1967 Paris Salon, but it never went into production. Underneath, the OSI 20 MTS was built on the Ford Taunus P7 platform. It used McPherson strut front suspension and a solid rear axle with leaf springs. The car came with 2 different engines, a 2.0-litre Cologne V6 and a 2.3-litre Cologne V6. The 2.0-litre made around 90 horsepower and about 118 pound-feet of torque. The 2.3-litre made 108 horsepower and 134 pound-feet of torque. Both engines used a Solex carburetor, either the 32DD DIS or the later 3535 type. The transmission was a 4-speed manual. Front brakes were discs, rear brakes were drums. The top speed of the 2.3-litre version was around 113 miles per hour. The OSI 20 MTS was about 183 inches long, 71 inches wide, and stood just over 52 inches tall. It weighed around 2,535 pounds. At the time, the 2.0-litre version sold for 14,900 Deutsche Marks, and the 2.3-litre cost about 15,200. Around 870 of the 2.0-litre version were made, and 409 of the 2.3-litre. Total production is estimated between 2,200 and 3,500 cars. By late 1967, OSI was in financial trouble. The company closed its doors in 1968. Only about 200 of these cars are believed to survive today. In 1987, fans in Germany started the OSI Owners Association to help keep the story alive. In the early 1970s, a small British company tried to do something different. It was not a car from Ford, Jaguar, or even Lotus. This was something made in Suffolk, England, in very small numbers, by people who used parts from other companies, fiberglass bodies, and a lot of determination. The car was called the Trident Venturer, and if you have never heard of it, you are not alone. Only around 84 were ever built, and fewer than 25 are believed to survive today. The story of the Trident Venturer actually starts with TVR, a sports car company from Blackpool. In 1965, TVR had worked with Italian design house Carrozzeria Fisore to create a sleek new coupe. The designer was Trevor Fiore, also known as Trevor Frost, but TVR ran into money problems and collapsed before they could build it. One of TVR's dealers, Bill Last, who ran a shop called Viking Performance in Ipswich, saw an opportunity. He bought the designs and molds and started his own company called Trident Cars. Trident's first model was the Clipper, which used a big 4.7-litre Ford V8. It looked fast and was fast, but it was expensive. So in 1969, the company launched the Trident Venturer, which was smaller, lighter, and cheaper to run. It was built on an extended Triumph TR6 chassis with a 93-inch wheelbase and used a Ford Essex 3.0-litre V6 engine. That engine made about 138 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. It had a 4-speed manual transmission and could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 9.2 seconds. Its top speed was around 120 miles per hour. The Venturer used a fiberglass body shaped by Fiore's original design, and it had a 2+2 layout, meaning it had 2 front seats and small rear ones. The car had independent suspension in front and rear with disc brakes all around. Many were sold as kits, which helped owners avoid taxes, though a few were built at the factory in full. Some drivers liked the car's quick feel and lightweight build, while others complained about the numb steering, especially in wet conditions. Trident cars also made other models like the Tycoon, which used a Triumph 2.5-litre straight-six and an automatic gearbox, but only about 6 or 7 of those were made. The company tried to make a comeback in 1976 with the Clipper V8 Super, this time using a Chrysler 5.9-litre V8, but only 2 were built before everything shut down in 1978. The Trident Venturer remains one of the rarest British cars of its time. It was part kit car, part sports car, and part leftover idea from a failed plan. It was never going to change the world, but it tells a lot about what small companies were trying in the 1960s and 1970s, when anything still seemed possible if you had a good mold and some fiberglass.